Okay, I think we can get started and do some stuff. So, okay. So we can check where we were. That would probably be quite useful. I think we just done, yeah, we just done this and you could, oops. Yeah, we could make some new connections and also get rid of old ones. We can also do it that way. And we could do it that way or not. Okay. Cool. This seems like kind of an awful system at the moment. But oh, also the overdraw includes area 3Ds if you're in the debug mode. Nice. Okay, so that works, but it didn't actually do anything, right? No. Okay, so we just had a visual system to display something, but that isn't actually accurate at the moment. Okay, that's fair enough. So I think, I was having a think about what I wanted to change, and I'm pretty sure that this system isn't going to work when we get to doing things like CCTV, because CCTV is going to have to output some like custom class object, which is going to be like video stream or something, right? Which is actually just a reference to a camera. But right now, our whole code is based around just sending a single signal, right? Just like a binary thing. So I think we have to, this was my idea anyway, we open back up this. In this mode, we have to have like different things for inputs into a device and different things for outputs. So for example, this light switch, the only output would just be a binary signal being sent to a light, and the light just has one input, which is a binary signal. So it's like super simple. And I think we can just bam that in. Like it's not going to be any different to what we have right now. But then when we go on to, hopefully today, when we add like a CCTV camera that we can connect to like a laptop, which we've got over there. Okay, actually, let me turn off this really annoying collision shapes. Then, yeah, when we actually do other complicated objects, we will just be able to extend the system. We won't have to rewrite the whole thing. So I think what we need to do is just, and I think that's also what I was getting confused at in the end of the last stream was like, how do I actually make this connection update when I like make a new connection here to here? How do I actually make that update nicely? And I think this will help us do that. So I think the first step for this stream is just to convert what we currently have to that. I probably will just make a new class and we'll merge it all in later because it's like horrifically messy at the moment, and that's fine. And yeah, I think I'll just make a new interface which is like iSimplified device rather than keeping using iDevice, which has so much bloat in it. It's like insane. And then we can move. So we just need to move this bits over to this new interface and then add in some physical new meshes here, which is like inputs, outputs, and just have like a list of things you can right click and it'll look awful, but that's fine because we're just grey boxing. And then once we've done that, which hopefully will only take like 20 minutes, then we'll move on to CCTV and move this laptop over here or get some kind of screen or custom monitor or something that you can connect the CCTV to view the output. Because the CCTV will have like alarm as an output and video as an output. So it would be more complicated. So yeah, that's where we're going to start. Okay, so we have random stuff in this commit. What does this actually do from yesterday? Right, it just makes the Okay, yeah, I think that's it. Just call this something like this. Right, add ability to add and remove connections in, yeah, connections in HackerVision view. Remove, like, connection, yeah, like, I don't know, connection lines. Okay, and then I'll just add a caveat. The connection changes only change, yeah, like don't actually change the behavior. They only change the visuals. Cool. Okay. Now we have like this. What was it? Yeah, new simplified devices. Okay, so let's make a new. Actually, does it even need to be an interface? Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, well, I'll just draft stuff out here. Okay, what we need is we need a class that's probably going to be, that's probably a mesh instance, 3D. And it's going to be clickable, you know, with a raycast on right click. Okay, and then with the same logic as before, logic as we did yesterday. Okay, like if the next right click. Okay, yeah, it needs to have a type. Like it can actually be a type. It could be a bool for like on off. It can be a custom class. It doesn't actually matter. This can actually be a type, like the type that represents types. We don't have to make anything custom there. Okay. And yeah, so if the next right click is, okay, so we need something to represent outputs. Okay. If the right click is an input with the same type, then we connect it. Okay, and implement the new behavior. New behavior, like, I don't know, connect some signals or something. And then we're going to need the same thing for inputs. So, right, and then you need a device which stores a list of inputs and outputs. I guess that is probably what our iSimplified device is then going to be. Right? And then I guess in the devices ready, we instantiate meshes. Like, yeah, the above meshes. So I guess we need like our input and output classes. Yeah. So in our device, which will probably, yeah, okay. So we'll have an iSimplified device, which I guess for the moment, yeah, let's simplified device, which is going to abstract out what this device is doing, like what each device is doing. We're going to need what? We're probably going to need a list of inputs. We're going to need a list of outputs. Right? And then in our raycasts, we'll just be checking if the thing we're raycasting, the thing the raycast is colliding with, is an iSimplified device. And if it is, then we know the inputs. No, I don't think that's a good idea. Actually, we might not need an interface here. As much as I love interfaces, we actually might not need one for now. But what we're specifically doing here, we might need one in the future, but I don't think we need it. Because what we're going to do, right, if we're doing this thing where we're instantiating kind of clickable cubes, which will represent the input and output, we'll just know what the input and output is. We won't need to be checking against an interface. Yeah, so I think actually, let's just move this down here. We don't need that for now. I think this is actually simpler than that. Right, so and I just want to give myself some concrete examples. So like, with our light switch at the moment, right, we'll just have to instantiate, yeah, like literally it's just an output. It's just a binary signal. Okay, there's a name for that. It's a ball, okay? And then, for example, for CCTV, what inputs we'll have? I guess we'll also have a ball input for like being on or off, right? And then we're going to have a ball output for like firing an alarm or like activating an alarm. Yeah. Oops. And then we're also going to need like a custom video, I'll probably call it video stream output, right? Which just connects camera 3D to sub viewport, I guess. Yes. And I guess for now, inputs can connect to an arbitrary number of outputs, and outputs, I mean, yeah, obviously outputs, I guess we're going to have to, our output class is going to have like switch as a function, right? Yes, I guess so. And we're going to have to ref these balls in a nice way. That means things actually work. That would be good. That is still on. Okay. Let me do that. Okay. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, cool. So I think we can just actually make these classes here. I think that would probably be the simplest thing. Even though this is, yeah, I think that's fine. So we'll probably need to be, let's do this. I kind of like making loads of classes in one file and then splitting them up. It's a little bit more intuitive, I think. Sometimes. Okay, so we'll need like an input representer. Yes, and this will actually be a packed scene. I guess this is probably best to be a Node 3D. Yes. And what did we have? Okay, yeah, and we'll also need an output representer. Oh, this should actually probably, yeah, this should definitely be an Area 3D because it makes checking like so much simpler later on. Okay. And I guess for our input, yeah, we're just going to need a type. And also for that, we're going to need a type. And then I'm now thinking, exactly. Okay, now let's make our other thing. We need a device. Yes. I guess it can just be from Node 3D for now. I don't really know how this is all going to be structured. And we need a list. I suppose we kind of can't do that. I'm trying to think if I want to make these packed scenes that the device instantiates on ready, like I wrote down here. But yeah, which I think is better. Or you could have an exported list that you like. This is kind of the Godot way, but I think it's actually worse because it won't allow us to have like custom functions per different device. Like I think if we want to write, like if we, this has to have, yeah, I'm pretty sure it does. This needs to, yes, they do. So I think this has to have like a func, which actually, that's a really good point. I think this has to have a func which will have to be passed in as a constructor, which you can't do, so I'll have to bodge it by doing this. It will have to do this, and we'll need to pass in a function which doesn't do anything. Is that allowed? I suppose that's an action then, isn't it? Right, and the action is going to be that new output, I'm thinking. Right. Yes, maybe? I'm confused. I don't think that's a very good way of doing it. Okay, well, we'll get onto that in a second. I'll need, probably, I think this will actually end up being an interface, but we need a list of, Right, so for example, let's say we're doing our light switch. We will need, right, I'm just trying to think how it actually, right, I think this is better, potentially. If we do this and get rid of this being node, okay, and make this an interface, and it'll complain about me. Do something like this. Also, this should be namespaced. Oops. Okay. Right, and it would also, from iSimplify device, this is actually kind of complicated. I think it needs to be right. This exactly. This should have like private void. Right. So obviously this will have like a private ball on, right? Which will just okay, yeah, and this can be light 3D. Oh, and maybe I'll have to change that. Oh, light switch. Okay, let's just simplify it. Oh, okay, I suppose that can't be that. Oh, like, just make a spotlight 3D, and that's fine. Okay. Oh, it's not a light switch. Okay, I'm being so stupid here. This should definitely be an arrow 3D, though. Okay, so it can be detected. And then we have this simplified light switch. We use on does that. Now I'm trying to think how I connect this on ball to the other device. Right, so in the other one we had this like exported private iSimplified device, but now I'm thinking it shouldn't be that. It should be connected to, oh, this is really complicated. It's so over my head right now. right? And then this should actually be a getter. Yeah, I think this should be get. So like a get we should return visible. Right, and set we should set visible to value. Equal to value, but we should also output representer we have to like update based on value. Something like that. Yes. And I think this is annoying. Yes, I agree. Okay, we should have... There should be some plain classes here. Okay. And they should exactly take in something, which I don't really know at the moment what it should be. And there should be a public class output as well. Right. And this should maybe not be this. Something like this. Maybe this will be completely pointless in a second. Very well could be. Okay, I don't like this. I think that's stupid. This should probably... Yeah, that's actually true. Should probably be a custom type. Okay, I think I'm getting bogged down in the Godot stuff, and that's preventing me doing logic. So if we just... If we had an output, exactly, so like... I'm trying to think... This is actually really complicated. And I don't know if my brain can do it right now. So what do we want this simplified light switch to do? It just needs to connect to another, right? I want it output to connect to an input. Right, so we'll also have, yeah, okay, let's get everything we need. Right, and this needs to have an input of a binary signal. Right, and this needs to have an output of a binary signal. Oh, this is unnecessary. Right, so for example, whenever we update this on, we should just automatically update the output. Right, exactly. So now this needs, yeah, I think we're getting there. This needs a private input of type bool. Right. Or maybe this should just be like active or something. Yes. Right, and now the light itself can define what it's going to do with this signal, irrespective of what's sending it the signal. Right, the only thing that this is dependent on is that it's a bool. It doesn't care about who sends it, how they send it. It just cares that it's a bool. Right? Okay. So then I think we can now use signals. Yes. I think so. I think we can now use signals. So now I'm going to put it in ready. Obviously, it won't be able to go in ready. Yes. Now we actually have the thing. So this should be like a signal. Is this allowed in a non? I'm going to hope so. Oh, I should definitely be using events. I think I have an event somewhere. Tell me how to use events. Oh. Oh, that's really simple. Okay. Public action T. Oh, I love this. Okay. On value changed, right? Exactly. So now what we do, question mark dot invoke. No, what we do is plus equal exactly. So now, right, we just say visible as s. Yes. Cool. Okay, perfect. And now up here, we have exactly what we're going to have to change. Public t value. Get return. I guess we'll have to have a backing field. Well, let's just do that. Cool. That's fine. Right, and set. I'll over optimize. Why not? Okay, it is not equal to value. Oh, oops. That's definitely not allowed. Okay. If value is not equal to value. Wait, you can't compare. Oh, okay. That's fair enough. Who cares? On value change dot invoke with value, right? Yes. And then we set value equal to value. I just feel this is misleading because this can fire even if the value doesn't change. Which I always kind of try to avoid. But maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know. Value is not equal to value. If value equals value, is that? I mean, obviously that's not going to be allowed, right? Right? Like CS0019? C# cannot compare type T with T. Okay, Stack Overflow. Oh, okay. Okay. Where T is I equitable of T. Apparently that solves the issue. Still doesn't. Yeah, I can see why this is an issue. I feel like it doesn't really matter for now. No, I actually kind of might, because if I want to fire this signal only, I think it's better to fire this signal only when it does actually change. Because, for example, you might want to like some kind of animation to play when you change the video feed being passed to a monitor, right? And it would be so much cleaner just to fire that every time this signal is fired rather than like, exactly. We should test this as early as possible, and the earliest point possible is here. So we should definitely have something that does this. But then with this, we have to do the negative point of this is that then if I make a custom class, like I keep going on about video streams, then I have to define. It just adds like a tiny bit of extra bloat, but I suppose I'll need that anyway. Yeah, because this T could be a custom class, and then I'll have to define equals for that custom class. But that's not too bad, to be honest. I wonder if there's a way where you can just see if the reference is the same. Maybe. Okay, well. Okay, let's do this. Let's get rid of this constraint. And we'll just be lazy for now, and it'll probably annoy us later. And then we should probably... Okay, so, fired whenever the internal value is changed to a different value. Okay, and maybe let's put if and only if to a different value. Yeah, and I suppose if someone wants to know what that means, then they can just look at this line. Okay, cool. So I think output is actually going to be almost definitely exactly the same as this, but we're getting somewhere now. So, what's it saying? Okay, sure, it can be read-only. So we have this input ball, right, into our spotlight. And whenever this ball is changed, right, we update visible to be if it's active, right? And this S is a ball. Cool. Yeah, obviously it wouldn't be possible otherwise. Now, we need our light switch to have an output, which is also going to be exactly the same. It'll be complete symmetry here. And you'll probably maybe be wondering what the point is in all of this, because it's actually pointless. But I think this will be useful. Okay. Yes, I think it will be. And maybe we can even add connections. That might be quite nice as a separate class. Okay. And yeah, okay. Okay. We'll get somewhere now. So now what we have to do, right, dot value equals visible. Yeah, equals value like that. Cool. And what's this value? Oh, Oh, because output doesn't contain a definition of that. That's fair enough. Okay, yeah, we don't need to do this. Oh, I don't think we even need to do this. Right, I don't think we need that at all, because... Right, actually, that's an amazing question. So if we go to light switch, what does it do? Kind of does nothing, right? There's a lot of not implemented methods. But how are we actually right now? I'm pretty sure it's in the interact array cast. Yes, okay, it's in this interactable. Perfect. So actually what this is going to do, this also will have to be interactable, and that's fine. Okay, and pressing it down. Oh no, not this. Not the spotlight. This, okay, will have to be lots of interfaces. Right, so you press down, it doesn't do anything, right? This just does nothing, right? That's intended. Okay. Yeah, I'm wondering, I haven't actually used this for anything, so I should probably just remove it from the interface, because like literally nothing's using release at the moment. It's just bloating the code, and I don't know like exactly, like everything just returns. Oh no, that's just a lie. It is used by buttons. Okay, that's fair enough. I think it should probably be left then. Yeah. This actually I might just make this inherit from button at some point, because it kind of is a button. but for now I won't do. Right, what should we do exactly? So you should do active.value. Can I make this private? I don't know. I think it should just be gettable, but it should definitely not be. I think it should actually, and when I say private, so I actually do mean that. I don't mean protected. Because I don't think, oh, maybe it probably should be protected actually. But I think that, yeah, nothing should. But the value definitely should be public. But this on value changed. Oh, okay, maybe that's not allowed. I don't know, it just kind of made sense to me that you can only get it. But I think adding, connecting the signal counts as accessing the setter, so I don't think you can do that. Okay, anyway, what you want to do is active.value is just not equal to its current value, right? Equals not this. Okay, because it's a ball. Yeah, and we'll just need a public t value for now. I'll have to change that in a second. The release does nothing, but it should be, yeah, it should definitely be a thing. I don't know, just feels weird to have a function which isn't doing anything in like 99% of cases, but I think that it should be there because that keeps things simple. Okay, so let's do this. That's awful. Let's put it there. Cool. Okay. Right, and then, so that's an output. Yes, okay, now this makes sense, okay. Now we're gonna have to do, I'm gonna ignore how this is actually gonna be implemented in 3D space and in Godot and just write what I want to write for now. Okay, and this is gonna be an input ball, right, which is like connected input or something. Okay, and on ready, right, we do exactly right. I think this actually should be called output. Wait, I'll just write what I want to write and then come back. Right, so exactly. So active dot on value change, which doesn't exist right now. Right, we have to do connected input. Connected input dot value. Yes, and we do something like this. I don't know, v. I suppose it's probably canonical. Equals v, right? I want to do this. Yes. I think this actually does work. I'm pretty sure I can actually just copy paste this for output. I think they're completely symmetrical at the moment. And I think this is a lot of bloat for just setting a ball. Like, a very, very good point. But I think it will come clear in a second, in maybe like 20 minutes, when we actually make our system able to switch between things. Yes. Yes. Okay. So now this should be like, this is what we're going to change from our hacker vision. This doesn't change, right? I'm trying to think. Yes, I think this makes sense. So maybe, yeah, now I'm trying to think. think output should have a function called connect and disconnect. But I'm not sure. I think so. I think it should. I think output should have a function called public void connect to an input. Right? Okay, like, and also, yeah, I suppose we'll have disconnect, but we won't worry about that too much. Oh, we can input of type T as well. Oh, this is lovely. Okay. Right, and what we do is on value changed, we plus equal to input dot on value changed. Oh, maybe this is a bit overcooked now. Like var v input dot value equals v. Is that allowed? Can I get rid of that? Yes. Which I suppose isn't really abstracting out that much, but maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's worth it. Okay. So what this connect does is, for example, a light switch has an output, which is a ball. Okay, and on ready, we just go active. Oops. Active.connect with this connected input. Yes. We don't need that. And actually, yeah, I might be able to change this to be a get setter instead. Oh, that's abstracting, who cares? Okay, so this is going to be needed, right? And this actually in a second is not going to be a plain thing. It's going to be within an input representer, which will be our kind of cube meshes, which will actually be visible in the game world, which we'll get to. Okay, so as far as mapping out the logic goes, this simplified spotlight, okay, it doesn't actually matter what the input is. Well, no, it does. Okay, so yeah, it exposes an input. Right, what's iSimplify device even doing? Nothing. Okay. Cool. So it exposes an input. So basically it's telling the world, I have one input, okay, and whatever this input's value is, I'm going to define myself, right? What I'm doing with it. Yeah, I'm actually now thinking that maybe this output, yeah, we actually might only need one of these classes, which is why they ended up being so symmetrical. Right, I could change this to, instead of being input and output, I could call them signal of type. Right, and I think that would actually simplify the logic a lot. Yes, I think it would. Because I think the idea of what an input and output is kind of already encapsulated when you connect the signal. Which means that what I'm doing is kind of completely unnecessary. Right, so if this was just signalable, maybe. Right, so if this was signalable, I don't think that actually works. Because yeah, if you had that being signal, right, like I think fundamentally, you still need at least one object on the switch, and you need one object on the spotlight, because when you fire ready, you need to know like what to actually instantiate as these meshes which are going to represent the input and output. So I think fundamentally, I can't just change this to signal. But in a second, we might be able to. If I do some more logic and it turns out that I'm just duplicating everything. Because I kind of almost have here. Anyway, so I think this generally works. Now I need something in our actual game world to represent the inputs and outputs that we can then right-click and change what the connections are. Okay, and that's what we were doing here. So yeah, what I'm thinking is, right, this is an input, and the output has a connect. Okay, that's kind of confusing. I'm going to ignore that for now. So on ready, we're going to have to on ready, we're going to have to instantiate an input representer. Right? So we can actually do that, yeah. Yes, we can do that. Representer, okay, equals, we're going to need export private packed scene, input representer scene. Zen representer scene. Cool. Instantiate. Oh, I should. Can this take in a type? Yeah, I can. Cool. Okay. I always used to write instantiate as, but I think that soft errors, like it just casts it to null and doesn't error. And really, you should error if you don't know if the type is wrong for your pack scene. But anyway. Okay, and then now I think we have to do like, I'm trying to think now. I think we need input representer. I think this needs to store a reference to this. Yeah, I think so. Oh, equals active, right? And obviously that doesn't exist at the moment, that's fine. Yes. Okay, and now if we go to this, okay. Okay, so now when we're creating device connections, we're not going to be using iDevice. I kind of do want to change it to signal representer now, but this is fine for now. I'll just do it for one. So if this is an input representer, oh, actually, yeah, maybe that makes sense. Oh, I might just comment out that. Yeah, I think I will do that. Let me comment this out because for now. Okay, so if I simplify device, nope. We have input representer, right? This is going to be our input. Then what we're going to have to do I think for now, I'm just going to force players to have to connect inputs to outputs and not the other way around. Because it seems kind of confusing otherwise, for now. So if we have, yeah, that's fine. Okay, and we'll just have private input. Oh. Oh no, yeah, exactly. Okay. Also, yeah, I think we need these representers because you can't, because like, exactly, this error's here because I have to put in a type. So I think we have to have an input representer or some kind of class which doesn't need a custom type. I think we have to have that. Yeah. presenter, right? Then we just go like, is input. Yes. I think this is the way. Okay, I think this is the way. Now we do if input representer, okay, is output representer. Oops. Output. Okay, and input representer. Oh, there should be, yeah, current input select. Yeah, representer is not null. Right, and there's a lot of ands. I'll wrap these in a second. And output dot. Okay, actually, I might just comment this here. Output type is the same as input type, okay? Yes, then we connect the input to the output. Okay, and then we go current input representer is null. Right, okay, and we can also get rid of all of this. Okay, I think that kind of works. So, yep. Okay, so now I was saying that I should actually maybe change these input and outputs into signals. And say active on value changed, right? Like this should just be a signal. Yeah, I think that actually does make a lot of sense, but I'm just going to, in case it doesn't, I'm just going to commit this. Obviously it's broken code, but that's fine. Okay, and then I'm just going to remove this. Right, and say signal. Right, I think what I'm going to struggle with is how to make these be the same things, but that's fine. Right, and then I actually won't even need, yeah, so I've deleted the correct thing because I don't need this. Okay, and then that's that. Cool, and now this is... I guess the signal should probably be made by the devices which are going to output it. Yeah, that's probably a good shout. Yes, I think this does actually work. Right, and then what you're going to have to do is export. Or maybe it won't. Right, so now we're going to have to say like device which uses this signal. I think this might be simpler in some ways. So if you have a signal of type T, right, active, right, we change the value when we press down, and that changing down that value invokes this onValue changed. Yeah. I think, and I think this is going to have some issues in a second. That's okay though. I'm going to make this kind of bad for the moment, and that's fine. Private simplified spotlight 3D, and I'll extend it in a second. Okay, dot visible. Yeah, no, actually that's true. So you do active dot on value change plus equal the, yeah, exactly, like v goes to the visible is v. Yes, cool. I think this might be savable actually. I think this might be savable like this. I think it might be a little bit simpler. Let me just, I just need to go for like 5 minutes and then I'll be back. So let me just put this back up. let's just, what's the time at the moment? Okay, I'll just say like back at 1:15. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, I was just thinking actually this yeah, the spotlight. Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna work. It might do though. We'll find out. Okay, so we have this. Okay, um so we're saying that inputs create the things, right? And then now somehow on ready, and also when we change connections, we're gonna have to pass this object into the output, and then the output's going to have to define how it uses this. Yeah, I suppose that's actually kind of what we've got going. Yeah, that's fair enough. I suppose the input should define the thing, and then, yeah. Okay, so we don't actually need this. Oops. Just hit everything. Okay. So this defines, just to get my head around this defines, that's not defines, okay, defines how this input device will affect the signal object, right? And then this defines how the output device will use the signal, which is generally very bad. Yes, okay, I understand now. So we can't do it this way. What we have to do, I think we might need to go back to the previous commit, but maybe we'll understand how to do this. Right, this fundamentally should define, right, define how this output device will use the signal. In brackets input. Oops, okay, can't type today. Question I have is, how do we actually pass this active thing from this input to the output? Because, like, I could interface it, but then I have to type test everything, which seems really stupid. But I suppose that's a really good point. Are we allowed to do that? Are we allowed to do that? That would be so useful if we could. That's definitely one way of doing it. I think. I think this works. Right? I think if this is allowed... Right, are you allowed to do kind of complex things like this? No. Maybe I could look up how to input a list of types in a generic constructor. C#. Oh, I suppose I'm being a bit dumb, right? You could just have this be a list of T. Yeah, okay. Because, yeah, I'm thinking that if we can use something in iSimplified device to understand if we're going to connect the right thing. Okay. So this ready should be removed? Yes. And then this, we're actually going to need, this will have to be public. Connect signal? Yeah, I think actually this might be, that might be the better way of doing it. Right, and get rid of all of this. We don't need anything for this right now. Oh, I suppose actually maybe we do. Right, just connect signal. No, I suppose it doesn't. Oh, okay. Brain is going weird. Okay. Put a binary signal, right. Okay, perfect. So now, I think the inputs should generally have precedent, right? So now this should be an I-simplified device, and it's not going to work. Yeah, okay. So this is just like output device, right? Yes, okay. Oh, I think this does work. This will work in a second. Okay, yes, cool. So now we can do ready. I think I know how to do this. So we can then just do connect active, right? Okay, we're going to have to store references to deconnect these signals. That's fine. We'll do that another time. Okay, we'll just let the garbage collector scream at us for not deleting references for now. Okay. So now, yeah, I think this is a nice method because it removes the logic from whatever these are going to do, and it keeps all the logic in like a nice C# way, and means that these aren't dealing with any of the logic, and they're completely, I think these are just going to store references to what the simplified device is doing. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. So, I think what we need is a list of T input types and a list of T output types. Okay, why is that not allowed? Oh, okay, because I'm using an interface, and that's actually better for this. So I think what we can do is a list of signal inputs, public, and I think list of signal outputs, and this just needs to be a get. Right. Cool. Okay, probably wants to make these read only. Oh no, wants to fix some violations. Okay. So, oh yeah, I suppose this is going to complain at us. Who cares? That's fine. Because really, I want to do this. And I think that would be way cleaner. Right. But the problem is that this needs to be a list. Maybe it's refactorable to that. Maybe. Maybe. Okay. So what we want to do, actually, thinking about it, that might be a way better way of doing it. Okay, so like, how to pass in a list of types into a generic class C#. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to do just doesn't work. Yeah, I don't think it does work. Oh, but this doesn't work either. Because there might be multiple inputs that are brought into a device. Damn, this kind of sucks. Like, this seems kind of complicated to do. So I think we might have to go back to having an output and an input type. Because it's kind of impossible to do otherwise. Perhaps. Okay, actually, maybe let's take a little bit of a sidestep and work out what these classes are actually going to do. So, they... Yeah. The things I just deleted, we need. Actually, we might not. I think what we need is a... private signal? Signal. But this is a Godot signal, right? Because I've renamed this. Okay, should definitely rename this to be this. Okay. Right, so yeah, I kind of want to do this, although I will do it like this and Godot will complain, and then I'll fix it later. Okay. Okay, so you have this signal. And I'm pretty sure that's all it's actually gonna need. Which seems kind of stupid, because then I could just make this signal. Right? Like, why isn't this just an area 3D then? Go for, yeah, exactly. Okay. Way better. Yeah, is the current light switch actually an area 3D? Go away. Okay. No, it's a static body 3D. Oh, I suppose it should be one of them. Should probably be one of them. Okay. So this is now an area 3D. No, I don't think this works. That's so annoying. I think it would now work if I change this. I think that might be the simplest way. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. This is an input of type T. Okay, this 100% isn't going to work. No, but that's fine. I think we have to go back to this. Right, and this now these are going to be the representers. Yes. Okay, this outputs. Yes, okay, I'm going to do this in like the Godot way, and it will just be exactly. It will really not like this. Actually, maybe this has some kind of merit to it. It might actually work. It might actually work. Right, so we define what this input does. Yeah, okay, this can actually now go away. This is going to be so much simpler, okay, than what I thought. Yeah, so this defines how this input device will affect the object. Right, and now you export private input, or right, like active input. Yeah, I think this is... Yeah, I think I'm going to get some problems here. That's okay. Let's remove this. So there's actually no errors here. Now, I think that this might work. However, Godot will probably shout at me. So these are still exactly the same. So I can just remove one of them. Right, rename this to be signal. Okay, so I think this now works. Wait, does it? Oh, this is the input. Oh. Naming them output and input was so useful, and now I've removed that. So this outputs a binary signal. Okay, so this is an active output. Oh, I should rename it to output. Yes. Okay. This is backwards. Output value changed. We changed the inputs value. Yeah, okay. Also, this should definitely be called something other than signal. Yes. I think this is the structure. Finally. Finally, I think this is the structure I actually want, because this separates, so it has an input, a device which outputs a ball of a custom type. We define in this code how we care about that output. Okay, and we define this is defining a connection. Right? Maybe we can even abstract this out into a static class or something. Yeah, it might be quite useful. And then exactly this defines how this should deal with it. Okay, I think this now works. So it's probably time to test it. The only thing is, this is almost definitely going to error. In which case, we will have to deal with that. That's okay. We can deal with that. We can deal with that. We can deal with that. Okay, so let's now just create everything we need for this. And then delete this. Well, I suppose this can just be left here, right? Don't actually need it. Okay, go simplified light switch. Okay, can actually do some stuff in Godot now. Amazing. Oh, not quite, but nearly. Very nearly. Very nearly. Okay. Simplified light switch. And finally, we need simplified spotlight 3D. Let's see this. Okay. And yep, this should not be ahead of a namespace. Cool. Okay. And this is a high simplified device looking rather lonely now. Okay, but that's fine. So, wait. No. Okay. So, I could, okay, yeah. Let's also just comment out all of this because it's wrong. Okay, and now let's see if Godot compiles. I assume it will. It will. Okay, now we want this to be simplified. Yeah, I mean, there's like a million simplified light switch. Okay, and now we want simplified spotlight. Simplified spotlight. Okay, cool. Now we can go simplified spotlight. Should not be called active. This should just be called input because this is the input. Right, yep. Okay, and the simplified light switch has an output and it also has an input. Right, and this object here is going to be the same object here. They're going to ref the same thing. Yeah, actually, now I've written this, kind of might make sense to have a connection class. Might make a lot of sense, in fact, but we'll get to that. We will get to that. Okay. Okay, I'm pretty sure as soon as I run this, Godot will just error. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. Because I've changed how this works, they need to be on the spotlight instead of the areas. Okay, we got 2 errors, as I maybe would expect. Simplified light switch. Oh, this is actually, no, this is maybe fine. This is maybe fine. Okay, and now this light, right, should be a DF signal. This almost definitely won't work, but we can get it where we want it to be, and then... Exactly. So the output of the lights, so yeah, input of the light switch. Okay, yeah, I suppose I have to make another area 3D. Yeah, okay. And I have to make a mesh. Maybe put it over here a little bit, and it can be a box for now. Doesn't have to be very big though. Okay, cool. And it can be a primitive. Okay, cool. And this should be our DF signal. So this should be the output from light. Right? Okay. Right, and now this is going to be the input into light. Right? Yes, cool. Oh. The light 2. Right, okay. And output from light. This is input into light. This is output from switch. Yeah. Calling it a light switch really confused my brain. Okay. Now I suspect this will fail. Oh, it didn't. Okay, interesting. So light switch, exactly. The output, this should be output from switch. Okay, and the input is the thing it's connected into, so let's call it connected into input from light. Right, and that's it. Yeah, okay, the input is now just its parent, and same as this. The input is just its parent. Okay, now let's see what happens. Let's see what happens, okay. Yeah, loads of errors, lovely. Okay. Okay, so it couldn't make it because it has to be the same thing, and if we look at DF signal, it's this. Can you? I almost know the answer. That's crazy you can export that. I really did not expect that. Yeah, this is actually fine now because you can wrap this. Yeah. This is great. This is great. Okay, we can leave this to be like this. Yeah, this is actually fine. The Godot hasn't fucked us over here too much. Now we can do something. Now we can say exactly. Remove this. Okay, and this shouldn't be an Area 3D. Public class. Okay, df signal representer. Okay. And now this is an Area 3D. Right, and you yeah, okay, now this is fine. Now we export this private type, right, and on ready, what we do is we go exactly. Ah, we can't do this. That's so annoying. Wait, no, maybe it is. I think it is allowed, okay. Right, we just do df signal type of type? Is this some crazy stuff that's going on here? I don't know how to value equals no? Like, I suppose it has to be known at compile time. Oh, also, yeah, we can't export this. VS Code just lied to me for like 5 minutes before it decided to update. Great. Okay. I don't know how to do that then. Like, the only other way I can think of doing it is by... Oh, I suppose that's fine, actually. Hmm. Is it? I don't know how to deal, like, what the standard way of dealing with generic types in C# in Godot is. I think we've got the actual logic down. We just need to work out how to, like, make it work in Godot. Which is sometimes extremely annoying, and other times less annoying. Okay, so... Wait, what did we just have? Right, we just had it like this, and this was public partial class. Right, and then now no errors occur. Maybe there's some Reddit. Okay, Godot, how to do generic type constructors. Godot, how to instantiate generic type constructors, constructor classes, C#. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's not possible because I think it is not possible. But this is what we need. So I think we might have to let Oh, maybe not. No, I think we can actually bodge this. Yeah, I think we can. Because there's never going to be that many types, right? So I think what we can do is we can have this be... I was going to say we could just make a list, right? We could say public partial class df signal bool, which inherits from df signal bool, right? And then I think that's actually... Like, this is stupid, but I think it works. Because then Godot won't complain that we're trying to make a class. Yeah, I think that works. See, now we can name the thing, the file name, the same thing. There's probably like a million ways of doing this. This feels like the most solvable problem ever. But I will do it this way. Okay, and now this, yeah, our area 3Ds now can be they can all be df signal ball. Right. We can compile. And I hope it does an error. It did an error. Nice. Okay, clear this. So we have this, we have this. We have this, we have this. We have this, we have this. And now, I don't know if Godot's going to complain that our type checking here, because if you remember, like, is that going to be allowed? Like, is it going to correctly cast df signal ball to df signal open caret ball? It would be nice if it does. I think it probably will. I think it did. I think it did. Amazing. Yes, it did. Okay, it did do that. Although I suppose what we've just done completely defeats the point of having a generic type instructor. But I will. Okay, clicking this doesn't do anything anymore. That's bad. Okay, that makes sense why that did nothing. What? Why the lag? This is awful. Okay, why doesn't it work? Okay, true. Oh, it does work. It does work now. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah, we have kind of just invented and uninvented generic typed classes. But I don't know another way. I think this is okay. Because, I mean... Wait, I wonder... this is maybe crazy of me. Actually, let's do it in Godot. I feel like if Godot is complaining about that, then, can I rename the file to be this? This is maybe kind of insane by me, but I think that's just complaining for the sake of complaining on Godot's part there. Let's see. I think this is going to be a resounding no, but yeah, it is a resounding no. And that now doesn't work. Maybe it's that. Let's say that, sure. No. Okay, now I've got glue issues, that's bad. Okay, so we can't do that. That's a shame. Yeah, okay, I guess we're just gonna have to have this kind of borderline ridiculous. Yeah, I think we are just gonna have to have this borderline ridiculous code structure. But at least it works for now. Okay, well, Godot's kind of just fucked itself there. Let's restart. I think sometimes when you do weird things, like the whole assembly breaks, and it just has a fit. I find especially with tool scripts, it really doesn't like tool scripts with C#. Like really, really, really doesn't like tool scripts. They break for me all the time. It's so unstable. And yeah, I remember trying to make a project with tool scripts, and like I completely gave up on it because it was just like awful. Having like this error, I think it's been known for ages, but I think people just have dealt with it enough that no one's fixed it. Which is maybe kind of annoying, but also maybe kind of fair enough. I think there's a lot of advantages of C#. And if you want to do a tool script, you can just do it in GD script. Okay. So that's great. And now I think I do actually want to make a connection class because it makes sense. First up, let's remove this whip commit and add our changes and call this simplified device or something. Simplified devices. Devices, create a df signal class or something. And force that up. Okay. I think this generally works. So for now, yeah, I think this is unfortunate that we can't use these. But that's okay. I suppose it's kind of annoying that we can't use these generic classes, but at the end of the day, it just adds one line and one file. This is kind of a bit of bloat, but I can't imagine there being more than like 10 of these types. Because like, what signals are you going to want to pass around? Maybe like ints, bools, strings probably, and like a few custom classes like video and pictures, and that's probably it. I think like 95% of what this game's going to do is just going to deal with this anyway. And I suppose these are equivalent now, so who really cares? Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably accurate. So now we need a way of switching them. So what we also want to do is we want to go to DF connection. Where do we register stuff? Oh yeah, okay. Okay, Vision 3D dot register. Okay, and we can go here and we're gonna make a new thing. Static. DF signal. I think I know what is gonna happen. And I'll fix this in a minute. We already have a connection type here. It's not really doing anything though. Oh, this is why this exists. Okay. That makes so much sense to me. I was also wondering, like, why would you need that? Breakthrough. Okay, and probably we'll need a simplified connection class. Yeah, this connection like adds this line, like this adds a child, right? Yeah. So I guess, yeah, I guess we can make a new, maybe this should all be in a new class, but oh well. Connection of type T. Actually, let's speed this up a little bit, just copy this. It's funny that that's allowed. Like you can have a connection of a generic type. I suppose C# just clever enough to know that if you're specifying a type, it must be this one. Yeah, that's fair enough. T. And yeah, okay, so this is aka the output and aka the input. I think this being backwards in my head is really weird. Like normally inputs are connected to outputs, but because the device is creating the output, it's the opposite. Okay, and we don't need any connection type here. Oh, actually, maybe I'll just... Yeah, well, we don't need this, but we can just make a new connection type wherever the fuck that is. Right, and just call it simplified. I think I'm gonna have to like remove so much bloat, but I'll do that another time. Yeah, transmitting point. This is so dumb. Like, who wrote this, man? Just taking a Node 3D. That's all it's doing. It's the most useless class ever. Right, a DF signal. They are all area 3Ds, so actually fine. Go start.global position. Oh, that's nice. Back to the previous system. Okay. I agree. We should definitely just use a thing. And yes. Connection, simplified connection. Equals new. Connection of type T. Oh no. Connection of type T, right, is new from start to end. Perfect. And I guess we can do exactly like we did before. Say simplified. Okay, and say simplify connections dot add. Right, that's what we did here. Yeah, simplify connection. Oops. Oh. Okay, I'll ignore this for now. Yeah. Register simplify connection of type ball. Output input. Yeah, this works. Okay. Oh, we don't even need this. That's nice. This should definitely be called output. Should definitely be called input. Okay. So now if we run this, we should get the amazing thing. Perfect. Okay, that, I mean, it's backwards, but that's fine. I think that's some, I'll fix the direction at some point. So from here to here is now connected the thing. Perfect. Okay, and we can click this. Why is this so, what's the issue? I don't know. It just hates me for some reason. Okay. And we can click on this and it turns that off and on. Okay. Cool. And we should also be able it should be called like input node or something. Yeah. Maybe it's a bit more. No, it's just float. Okay. So that kind of works. For now. That kind of works for now. Now we need to go here. Is DF signal? DF signal. I think this now might be a problem because we're gonna have, we can't do anything here without knowing what the type is. That's kind of annoying. Right, this is the output, right? Yeah, okay. So we want to, have I really named everything the wrong way around the whole time? No, I'm not stupid. Yeah, now it makes sense to me, okay. Current output needs to be output. Cool. Collider is DF signal output. And yeah, okay. So it's an input node. And the current power and also, yeah, exactly. So I wonder how you do this kind of comparator then. To right, I want to do like is df signal t where t is. I mean, t can be anything. How do I do that? Okay, well, I mean, for now we can kind of dodge this by doing this. Oops, copy paste the wrong thing, right? Okay, we can say current output is null like that, and we can do something like this. Okay, cool. So exactly. So now what we do. Yeah. Oh yeah, actually that's no, that's a bad idea. Okay. We're nearly there. We're nearly there. We're nearly there at something. Okay, yeah, I think we can finish this off. And it won't take too much time. So let's do something like this and close the others. Okay, how are we connecting this? Define a connection. Yep, and I think really the Hackervision 3D has the definition for a connection of type T, but this should probably yeah, this register should do this. Yeah, it should do. It should do. It's kind of out of the scope of what Hackervision should do, but that's fine. Okay. And now this is actually super simple, I believe, because we just say, yeah, this is actually fine. We just say current output to input. I think now this works for creating. Yeah, it's like a one-line change. That's nice. Okay, cool, perfect. Now we can go bam, bam. Didn't do anything. Okay, cool. Oh. And this should definitely be like first. Okay, and input is not equal to current output. Okay, I need the collision shapes now. Okay, that does not work. That's annoying. Let's print some stuff. Okay, that printed the Area 3D. Printed nothing. What? No sense to me. Pressing this do now. Nothing. So stupid. we register the connection which changed the behavior and adds a new connection. So why doesn't it work? It's not null, and the collider is a DF signal ball. Is it because this is a child? I doubt it. It might be, actually. What is happening? Are we even doing this? Okay, let's see if we're doing here. Okay, we register one connection at the start. This does not register a connection. Okay. But it does print the area 3D twice. Oh, I'm being so stupid. Only if it is null do we do that. Yeah. Yay, cool. Now, perfect. That works. Now I suspect this will actually do the thing. We click on this. They both turn off. Yay. Okay, cool. So you can define your new connections now. And both of the things turn off. Okay, perfect. Now, basically we want to go if the connection already exists. Oh, also, how I've done this kind of removes all directionality. But, yeah, I think you could, like, break the system very easily if you're not me and you haven't made the system yourself. Because, I mean, I can do it right now. Right? I'm allowed to start from this and end here. Right? And that just fully breaks it. Now it won't work. Exactly, because now this is trying to, the light switch is trying to control this. So we should, in fact, have, we do need different classes for outputs and inputs. Even, I mean, actually we don't. We need some distinguishing thing between inputs and outputs. Right? Because calling them all a signal ball doesn't help anyone. Right? So I think what we, yeah, I don't know how you do that. Kind of need a constructor to do that. But I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how in particular. Okay, well, we can deal with that another day. Let's do that, okay. Just put this here, okay, so you need to distinguish between input and output signals. So, yeah, so that the player doesn't connect an output to an input. You know, because that doesn't make any sense. But as controlling an input. Like I've assumed the directionality here. Okay. So now we need to yeah, now basically we also want to be able to remove connections. Right. Which is kind of the logic we already had. So yeah, we can do that. So if we want to go if Mechavision 3D Now I'm thinking. This should also be here, right? Yeah, it should be. What? Anyway, this should be output. That should be the input. Okay, and then we also want to have a public void disconnect, probably. But now I need to, I think I need to store this as a func, as an action of type T. Oh, that's kind of stupid. Because the action of type T is already here, right? Yeah, I think it kind of feels like there should be a simpler way of doing this. But I don't know what it is. So, yep. Now we just do this. And we do, we do this minus equal original original action. Cool. And we just call this, yeah, public. No, definitely private action. T, original action. And we call this, yeah, equals this plus equal to original action, and we minus equal from original action. Okay, let's call this output then. Let's call this input, aka start, aka end. Okay, and we go output with a capital O. Sure. Okay, and now we want to do public static void remove simplified connection. Yep. Of all this stuff. And the first thing we have to do is we have to say output dot disconnect. Oh, that's kind of stupid, eh? Let's call this df disconnect then. Give me the error that's relevant. What? Oh, maybe if I change this to a class, does that fix the issues? What do you mean? It clearly does contain the necessary thing. Oh, because it's the connection that we delete. Yeah, okay. I'm being stupid. I am being stupid. So we have to get the old connection. Call df disconnect on the old connection. We can make this back a struct. And yeah, get the old connection, call df disconnect. Oh yeah, I suppose we can just now call this disconnect, and it could be read only. And then remove that connection from the thing. Okay. Yep, and we can do this .q3 as well. Delete the behavior. And delete the visuals. Cool. Define behavior. Oops. And visuals right there. Okay. So, yep, we do need a way of storing these things. It can be read-only. Yeah, it can be in it as well, right? Nope, it cannot be. Oh, that's equivalent to a set, isn't it? Rather than equivalent to... It's not a field keyword. Okay. So how do we fix this issue? Oh, well. C#, list of instances. Yeah, an instance of generic class. Okay, as always, the answer is interfaces or abstract classes. Kind of function the same here, I think. So, yeah. Let's call these eye connections. Have to remove these. Probably should do it before I forget everything. Okay, public class eye connection. Okay, and this should implement eye connection, but it's be a class. Okay, now that's not valid, which is fair enough. And we can go to simplified connections. Exactly, it should actually be instance. And now that works. So now what we should do is exactly what we did previously. Right, is an eye connection, trigger existing instance simplified connections, where v.output, right, is output, and v.input is input. I have to bodge this somehow. Right, so yeah, we probably will do actually. Then we go try get existing dot disconnect. Okay. Needs to have a public abstract void function called disconnect. Interface. Go. And then we have to go dot remove try get existing from the list. So yeah, there's a bit of an issue now. How do we know what one to get? That's a good question. That is indeed a good question. I think, okay, get the old connection. So if we're getting the old connection, You could do it with instance IDs. Zabodge. Yeah, I suppose that works for now. Because that's like, you don't need any knowledge of what the object is, and you can still compare them. Which is probably a bad idea, but oh well. Or you could get rid of this interface and have a list of connections for each type. And that's probably what I will do for now, because that's the simplest thing to do. Right? Yeah, I think that's probably the easiest thing to do. You can just have like private void, right? Like get connection list for type, and then you go type T, right? And then you just like switch the type. Yeah, actually, let's switch T. Oh, no, not like that. Right, case. Bool. Right, always does this incorrectly because the C# extension just loves indenting things wrong. Okay, and we return actually, yeah, I think this is a better way of doing it, but at the very least this serves as working for now, and it is in theory extensible. And in theory. Let's call these bool connections. Right, and because these inherit, yeah, this can actually just... Oh, that's so stupid as well. I think I can just hard cast this, but I don't know. What? That's so dumb. Even though it always is that. And you can't do it with a hard cast either. Wow. Okay, well I'll have to rethink how I'm doing that then. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Yeah, okay, well that isn't gonna work, is it? I suppose you can do a similar thing for yeah, the DF signal. Right, exactly. Wait, this is great. You just say IDF signal. And then you just make an interface. I think. Right. And then nah, that doesn't work. That's a shame. Okay, that doesn't work. Because I think I'm going to budget. I think I'm in a budging mood. v.get instance, because they all inherit from instance. Wait, what? What's this? This is an I connection. Wait. I guess you can do this. Right. Right, and you can implement it. And what you do is you just get. Wait, that's so stupid. That returns as a U-long. Okay, well, now we can do this. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's just mark this as a massive bodge. Okay. I'm going to simplify this even more. So cool, perfect. Okay, now there's one function like that. And now we can go to this and exactly. Okay. Yeah, if it doesn't exist. Okay, or remove the connection. If it does exist. Okay, perfect. Now, what are the chances of this working? Probably 0, but nope, yeah, didn't work. Okay. Oh, wait, why is that? What's the line? Error 212. Oh. Is not null. There we go. Okay. And now that works. So now we can right click on this and right click on that and it removes it. Okay. And now if we toggle this button, it doesn't do anything. Perfect. Okay. And if we right click here and right click here, it also doesn't do anything. Maybe I just didn't right click hard enough. Oh, because I'm clicking the wrong thing, right? No. Oops. That worked? What? Okay, and then if I click this, it doesn't do anything. Right click. Right click. That works. That works. Right click. Right click. Doesn't work again. Interesting. Okay. Whoa, okay. That's weird. That they seem to have the same. Oh, okay. Of course. Yeah, that makes sense because it's uniquely defined by two things, not just by one. Okay, cool. And then we can say and right input and exactly the same thing but with our outputs. Okay, perfect. Now that should work a little bit better, although it still is a massive bodge. Okay, cool, perfect. Now this button should turn them both off. It does, yay. Okay, and we can disconnect one, and then it should now just turn one of them on. Perfect. And now we can disconnect this one, and it should do nothing to either of them. Cool, and then we can... Oh, that's weird. Oh, now we've got it going both ways. Okay, well, there's some bugs there. Oh, that fully crashed Godot. Okay. That's bad. Wonder why that crashed it. I'm just getting unique IDs. I don't see why that would hate, but I don't know. Okay. Maybe it's something to do with why the frame rate's like really awful at the moment. Okay, well, we did that, and that gets that, and we can connect that to there, and then it does both of them. Okay, perfect. So I think that's a success. So what did we actually do in that? We made the connections. Yeah, simplified connections. Okay, so like add ability to create and remove connections in the HackerVision 3D view. Cool. And we can go to notes and we can say, yeah. Okay. Okay, so like, yeah, okay, so like trying to connect a logically input node to an output node currently is allowed. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, should not be allowed. Or, yeah, I don't know how to do that. How to do that intuitively. Okay, how to make the UI show that intuitively, but that's another point. Okay, but right now, okay, the HackerVision, okay, the create new, what's it called? Create new device connection inputs does allow this, which leads to bugs and maybe even crashes. Cool. So that's something we can do another day. But for now, I think that's fine. So we have a system now where, yeah, there's some also modge. Let's get what this is. Okay, yeah, I'm just going to write remove reliance on get instance ID for reference equality checks in HackerVision 3D.myConnection / simplified connections logic. Yeah, because we obviously shouldn't be doing that. So something we have to change in order to prevent us needing to do this. Because really we should be just you know, using equal signs on the references rather than the IDs. Although I suppose this does, it's a bodge for now. But anyway, we have a system where, exactly, if we look at our Spotlight 3D, we can just define an input. Oh, we don't need this, right? Oh no, we do need this because, wait, do we? I'm so confused. Because HackerVision creates this already, right? Right, output on value changed, we then change the input node. Wait, how is any of this working then? I'm so confused. Right, we define a connection. Output of this node. Yeah, I have this light switch. A binary signal. Right, and then we have the input into another device. Okay, also a binary signal. Oh yeah, I'm being stupid. This is never queue-freed. Yeah, okay. This is a constant thing. Right, okay, the input into this spotlight. Okay, that determines if it's on or off. Okay, the HackerVision logic is only changing wait, what? I am so confused. This is the same as what HackerVision does, right? Like, if I remove this, what happens? Right, like that's connected. Yeah, now it doesn't work. Right, but if I do this again, removes it, and then now let's make a new one. Now it will work? No. Oh, because this is different to that one. Right, I'm confused at what this line's doing. Oh, okay, this is, oh. It does what it says on the tin. This is a connection. This is connecting the inputs, the outputs value changed, to actually changing the input value. But this spotlight only depends, right, on this. This is inputs, right? So actually we can do this. Oh, yeah, we can. Oh, you're not, can't one-liner me. That's annoying. Okay, yeah, exactly. This input is never queue-freed, it's never modified, right? It's like fully read-only and non-changeable at all. It's like private set. Indeed, it is private set. Right, but here we say, yeah, like, I'm confused. We're saying input to value is S, but here it's private. Like, exactly, what's actually using this? Oh, because this is private? Right? But we never get this. This is never the thing we use. What we actually use to modify it is this input here. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, there's some weirdnesses here, but it's close to a system which is extensible, which has generic typing. And once we've got that, yeah. So I think basically, light switches are done. Okay? Like, kind of, I mean, there's bugs to fix, but there always is. But like, actually, the idea that you have a device connected to a light switch, and this is an output of a ball, right? We can connect that to anything, and that actually does just work. Okay, cool. So I like that. I like that quite a lot, that we have a thing that works. Okay, and we can disconnect the things we want as well. So I think we're close now to a system. We have the general architecture of what we want it to do. But maybe the specifics of how it actually works aren't there yet. And as the final thing for today, I will also just go here, remove the non-simplified connection logic. Okay, at some point, okay, maybe after merging in the iSimplified, merging in any iDevice, iConnection, oh, not iDevice, what else is it? I suppose iDevice behavior into the thing. Yeah, into the simplified device folder code. Okay, or merging the simplified code outwards into iDevice, etc. stuff. Okay, yeah, I'll probably need to merge some like that. Okay, cool. This literally just adds some comments, right? Yeah. Looks add. Oh, it should probably be notes. I mean, who cares, to be honest? Okay. Well, I think that is it for today. So I'm going to end stream.